Pillars of trust. Well, happy Father's Day once again. We know that our families are not perfect. Some of us have had difficult relationships with our parents, and sometimes it is good to know that we are not the only ones who have had difficult relationships with our parents. I'm going to read in a little while about the story of Jacob. Jacob happens to be a twin. He was the younger of the two. His older brother's name was Esau. Their parents' names were Isaac and Rebekah. Now, Jacob, being the younger twin, was Mama's boy. He stuck around the house, helped cook, became a really good helper at home. He was Mama's boy. There wasn't any mistaking about that. Esau was a rather hairy man who enjoyed hunting and brought home game out of which he made his father's favorite stew. And that ended up being a very close bond, and so Esau, with his hunting skills, was Daddy's boy. And so it was all sorted out in the house. There wasn't any confusion about it. Jacob is Mama's boy. Esau is Daddy's boy. Well, one day, Esau heard a word from his dad, and the word was this: I don't feel like I am too long for this world. What I'd like you to do is go for one final hunt for me. Come home, prepare the game, make my favorite stew, and then I'm going to give you the special blessing that is for the firstborn son. That's a special blessing. It's for you. I've reserved it. You go do the hunt, make the stew. I will enjoy it. I'll bless you. And so the day started. It was all going very well, but then it turned out that Rebekah, the mother, overheard what Dad told Esau. And so she called Jacob out of the kitchen and said, Jacob, you wouldn't believe what I heard. Your father has sent your brother out into the forest to get a final game out of which a soup is to be made, and he is going to bless him with the firstborn blessing. Now, quick! Go and get some of the fatted sheep out back, and I will help you prepare it. And we'll have you take it in and pretend like you are your brother. We're going to trick your father to give you the blessing. Now, you talk about dysfunction. So mother and son working to trick dad to get the son the blessing which dad wants to give to the other son. And you thought your family is the only one that had problems. Tough. Anyway, so Jacob and mom, Rebekah, had that stew prepared and everything. And just before Jacob went inside, he said, wait, my brother is very hairy. If I go in there with my smooth skin and dad touches me and he finds out I'm trying to trick him, he might put a curse on me. What are we going to do? And mom said, well, we can get some of the fur from the sheep and put some on your neck, or put some on your arm, and shoved him in there. And it worked. Dad said, I can see very well, but it smells good. It smells very good. Come here, my son, come. And he wanted to test and just touched him a little. Well, and felt him out. He enjoyed the soup and poured that designated first son blessing on Jacob, who is the junior twin. Not long after that, of course, Esau comes from his hunt. You know what's going to happen. He's all excited. He's in the kitchen moving things about. He's ready to go. Oh, dear. He goes in there. Dad, I'm here. What? I'm here. Remember? Esau, your son. I went to. The shock. Can you imagine? Think what is happening to this family right now. Wow. Think. And Esau goes on his face. He's crying. Dad, isn't there another blessing you could give me? Just a small one, please. It's gone. I've already just dropped it on your brother. I give you a small one, but it's nowhere close to what you're supposed to get. And in his anger and frustration and grief, Esau makes a promise. He makes a vow. And his vow is that the day our father dies, I'll kill my brother. The day our father dies, I will kill my brother. And guess who overheard it? Rebecca always overhears stuff, and she knew. And called Jacob and said, this is the night you leave. This is the night you leave the house because your brother is so mad about what has happened. We need to get you out of harm's way. That's where we are in the story. And Roy is going to pick us up from there and tell us part of the story, the day that Jacob left home. Roy.
Reading from Genesis chapter 28, verse 10 through 22, found in the Pew Bible on Old Testament page 24. Listen to what the Spirit is saying to the church. Jacob left Beersheba and went toward Haran. He came to a certain place and stayed there for the night because the sun had set. Taking one of the stones of the place, he put it under his head and lay down in that place. And he dreamed that there was a ladder set up on the earth, the top of it reaching to heaven, and the angels of God were ascending and descending on it. And the Lord stood beside him and said, I am the Lord, the God of Abraham, your father, and the God of Isaac. The land on which you lie I will give to you and to your offspring. And your offspring shall be like the dust of the earth, and you shall spread abroad to the west and to the east and to the north and to the south. And all the families of the earth shall be blessed in you and in your offspring. Know that I am with you and will keep you forever wherever you go, and will bring you back to this land, for I will not leave you until I have done what I have promised to you and for you. Then Jacob woke from his sleep and said, surely the Lord is in this place, and I did not know it. And he was afraid and said, how awesome is this place? There is none other than the house of God, and this is the gate of heaven. So Jacob rose early in the morning, and he took the stone that he had put under his head and set it up on a pillar and poured oil on the top of it. He called that place Bethel. But the name of the city was Luz on the first. Then Jacob made a vow, saying, if God will be with me and will keep me in this way that I go, and will give me bread to eat and clothing to wear, so that I come again to my father's house in peace, then the Lord shall be my God, and this stone which I have set up for a pillar shall be God's house, and of all that you give me, I will surely give 1/10 to you. It's the word of the Lord.
So the first night, you've heard the story. I don't know about you, but it's a little bit of a surprise. It's a little bit of a surprise that God chooses to appear just at this point in the story to Jacob. Don't you think? I mean, you could not be a naughtier person. You could not be a more conniving, more deceitful, And he has a dream that night. Well, I'll go with the dream. God appears to him, okay. I don't know about you, but when it said that God appeared to him, I expected a reprimand. I mean, doesn't that make sense? I expected a wagging of the hand, the finger of God. You have been naughty. How dare you? That's what I expected. It's not there. Instead, you have a promise. You have a promise from God, a pretty massive promise. And the promise says, I am the Lord, the God of Abraham, your father, and the God of Isaac. The land on which you lie, I will give you and to your offspring. Did I read that right? What is going on here? In a novel that my family reads from time to time, there's a small Quaker community, and they just go back and forth against each other, and they keep pretty close tabs on each other. And this is where one of them might say, I guess the wages of sin isn't death after all. What's going on? God wasn't done. He said, your offspring shall be like the dust of the earth, and all the families of the earth shall be blessed in you and your offspring. Know that I am with you and will keep you wherever you go, and will bring you back to this land, for I will not leave you until I have done what I promised to you. And my question is, why does Jacob get a blessing? Why does Jacob get a blessing? What is the blessing about? After all, it's Father's Day. We're trying to raise responsible children. Somebody ought to ask it. What is the blessing about? You know what the blessing is about? I tell you what the blessing is not about, and then we'll go on. The blessing is definitely not about Jacob. That's a start. The promise is not about Jacob. Well, who is it about? Well, remember how God introduces himself, I'm the God of your father Abraham and Isaac. Is it about Abraham? Is it about Isaac? Maybe, but even better, the promise is about God. And I love it that the promise comes at this point to Jacob, because it makes it very clear that this is not about you, Jacob. This is not about you. This is not about your goodness, about your looks, about your qualifications, about how intelligent you are, how crafty you are, about how hard you have worked. This is not about you, Jacob. That's hard for us to hear as Americans. It is, because we believe in meritocracy. And meritocracy says that I have what I have because I deserve it, I merited it. Here is the blessing that comes. That everything about it says, listen, this is gift. This is coming to you. It's pure gift. It's pure gift. If you're getting what you deserved, it wouldn't be this, I promise you. Pure gift. So I came today to say just this. We have a tendency to trust our goodness. Yeah. We have the tendency to trust our goodness. I did this and I did that, and I was this and I was that. And because of that, we don't quite say it out loud, God owes me. Now, this promise is something else. This promise is suggesting to us, hey, trust God, not your goodness. Trust God, not your goodness. Now, it doesn't mean that we shouldn't be good, we shouldn't be virtuous, but it means we are not trying to earn, qualify for, and claim God's promise and blessing. That's not the game we're playing. Because the promise is gift on the front end. If we catch a hold of that, we live a life of freedom and joy. Because you're no longer trying to earn your way. No, the gift is already received, and now you live a life of joy out of gratitude from the gift already received. That's what grace is. That's what grace is. That doesn't mean don't do anything. Oh, do the stuff, but we are no longer trying to earn anything because the gift is already given. It's a huge game changer. Huge. I like what Jacob does. When he wakes up, he takes a stone from the back of his head and he pours some oil on it, and out of it he makes a pillar. He makes a pillar. This is a special place. Something unique has happened here. Something of God has appeared to me. I'm making a pillar so I can remember it. I'm marking the spot so I can come back sometime. I wonder why. You know why? Because life is hard. This is just the beginning of Jacob's story. There are other things that are going to happen. Read the story. But every once in a while, you need to be able to circle back to a pillar that you have set up when God showed up to remind you that the God who showed up when you set up the pillar is still with you, even in the midst of this present reality. That's why we set up pillars. Whatever it looks like. It could be something on your keychain. Nobody else knows what it means, but you know it means, oh yes, that thing that God did 15 years ago, something about this keychain takes me back there. That's a small pillar in your pocket. It could be a prayer, 2 words, 3-line prayer that you have memorized. And you memorized it 2 Lenten seasons ago when the church did a study. That's your pillar. God showed up. You had a special moment there, and it's in your back pocket. You have it. And when something comes up, you circle back. Because, you can wonder a dream, what you heard, what you saw in a dream, and begin to wonder, did that really happen? Am I getting a little bit cuckoo in the head? But when you have something physical to ground it on, you have something. You have something to come back to. So my challenge to you today is pay attention to those pillar possibilities, those places that God shows up unexpectedly in your life. I don't care where it is, who said it, and how it all came to. Pay attention to those and somehow set it aside. Somehow. Because you might need it. You might need it when the going gets tough. You might need it when the unexpected happens. You might need it, like Jacob, when you get a taste of your own medicine later on. You might need it. We're talking about trust. Trust God, not your own goodness. Trust God, not your own goodness. Trust God, not your own goodness. And when you can, build a pillar somewhere. Amen.